Aloha. It was a very nice meeting today. Looking forward to seeing you next Tuesday at 2:45. What we're going to do is make sure that we're in tune here. Each one of our notes should stay the same. I forgot to ask you if you're left-handed or right-handed. If you're right-handed, it should be pointing the left-handed. And if you're left-handed, it should be pointing towards the right. And if you're right-handed, it should be pointing towards the left. The high note is going to be called the high G note. The next one's going to be the thickest string on the uke. It's the C string. And then we have an E string and an A string. When we correlate all these are thumbs, T's. This is pointer, first finger. Middle finger is M. And then we have our third finger, which is going to be our ring finger. It's notated as an A. And then we have our fourth finger, which is our pinky. When we use these, when we do finger style, kind of use different fingers for different strings. We'll get to that later. For first lesson and first episode here, we're going to be doing our first finger on the first fret right here. Doesn't matter that you know if it's a G sharp or an A flat at the same time. We'll get to that too. First note, second note, third note, and fourth note. Now, all of these notes are going to have a tendency when you put your fingers on them, because these are pointy notes, which go into it, not flat notes, which go flat. Each one of these will have a tendency to kind of go back and forth, and like your fingers will feel like little dough legs trying to stand up for the first time. I know it's going to feel awkward, but after doing lesson 1 called spider exercises, each one of your fingers find their position on the fretboard. Now, when we play these, we want to play in between, like we're swimming in the water, not on the shore, on the fret. The fretting itself, we want to be playing on the fret. So in between. The reason why I'm teaching you 4 fingers at a time is most you'll ever really stretch for a chord structure is going to be 4 frets. Then we move up to the next, which would be our 5, 6, 7, 8, also 4 frets, and then our 9, 10, 11, 12. As you can see, 4 times 3 is 12, and there just so happens to be 12 minor seconds in between octaves. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, open. So what tends to happen is we see this as having that being a diatonic chromatic scale, incorporating all half steps, all minor seconds, can be utilized by taking your fingers and playing with 1, 2, 3, 4, skipping up to the 5th fret here, starting with your first finger again, and doing the same thing thusly to end up on the 12th fret. It'll make more sense when we're in person. But for this week, lesson 1 is just this. Using the first finger on your right hand, first finger on your left hand, placing at the 1st fret, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. Purpose is to not play flat notes, but pointy notes, and to keep your fingers on the fretboard when you play them. Some people have a tendency to put their finger down, and when they put their finger down, lift all the other ones off. It's kind of a weird habit, but it happens. It's just a muscle thing. What we need to do is reprogram your brain on how to circumvent that if you have that issue, and if not, don't worry about it. Just keep on trucking with your fingers all the way up the fretboard. A good pace to start at is about this, which is 50 beats per minute. You could go online to Google or buy a metronome, meternome, which keeps beats for you. I'll show you how to use it and how to subdivide beats. But everything I'm going to show you with lesson 2 is going to be able to dictate all those beats for you, and you'll understand at the first lesson. So that's lesson 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next string with all 4 notes. Keeping your fingers on until you're ready to switch. You don't always have to do that, but it helps keep your fingers from flying off the fretboard. That's lesson 1, okay? Lesson 2 is going to be this. We're going to be playing either a C major or an F major. By playing a C major, that means our instrument's in tune. High G, G, C, E, A. And that we're playing our 3rd finger on the 3rd fret on the furthest away string, the A string, making it A, B flat, B, C. In this, we've got that triad I was talking about. C, D, E, F, G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get rid of my 2 and 4, which is my do, re, and fa. And we have 1, 3, and 5. C, E, G. This is a C, unison, or octave. And and then our E, C, E, G. So 1, 3, 5. So in a C major, when we use these open notes, it utilizes all the triads that we need, all the notes. We could also play it closed and play the same chord, which I'll show you at our first time together. But what I'd like you to do this week is to take your third finger and rotate your fingers. What we're going to be doing is accomplishing just our whole note. It'll make more sense. I'll show you all of them on this video, but we're going to work on just the whole note for this week for lesson 2. A whole note has 4 beats. You attack on the 1, and you keep your hand going for the remaining 3.5 beats. Meaning if you play 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, your fulcrum of your hand will be able to come down on 1 each time. In fact, it could come down on 1 and 3, which is a half note, because it subdivided the 4 beats into 2. Watch it again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and thusly, that's a whole note which has 4 beats and 2 half notes put together which make a whole note. All right, so what the end result of lesson 2 is, I'm going to teach you all these chords. C major, C minor, D major, D minor, F major, F minor, G major, G minor, D major, D minor, I get to turn around, A major, A minor, B major, B minor, and those are our major minors. So there's only 7 majors and 7 minors, and then we learn 2 different shapes for our diminished. And the tickling thing about this is after you learn them, you're going to go, I can't believe it was so easy this whole time. So what we're going to do is work on that each week. With our G, let's say we were playing lesson 2. That week we would do 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and once we have the chord, and it's pretty easy, we do the teeter-totter effect. I take off my first finger. See how my pinky's not on the fretboard? I remove my first finger. I put my second finger, which is on a B, down to that D that this finger was on. Move my third finger, which is on a G note, over to a B, which the other finger was on. And then I bring my pinky onto the fretboard. This is called a transition. That's ugly. Sorry about that. There it is. This is called a transition where you're playing the same chord, but you're using different fingerings. So what happens is when you move to different chords, it becomes a lot easier to do that when you're already capable of hitting the same chord with different fingerings. What happens when you're able to do different fingerings? You can move those shapes up and down. Just by example, if today's chord was the F chord that I would show you, I would have had you place your finger here on the F note and then the second finger here on the A note. Your spider exercises will make it that these feel like the right notes to go to, which they are. So this F, if I play this with the teeter-totter effect by moving my first finger, putting my second finger where my first finger is, and putting my second finger on the fretboard, I could then move that shape up a half step and bar the whole thing as if I'm moving this nut right here all the way down towards this saddle. So what happens is, once you learn one chord down here, it just scoots up. But you have to be able to play it in the second fingering, or else you can't cover the other fingers that you're missing. Watch the G major. If I scoot up here, I have this G and then a G sharp, which is dissonance. It doesn't work well. So what I need to do is play that G in a second fingering, scoot it up, and put my first finger down for that note that was wrong, thusly giving me a beautiful chord. We're going to work on all these things, but for lesson 1, lesson 2 for you this week, here's lesson 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E. All those things I just said we'll get to later, but they're going to help you subdivide all these. Your second lesson is going to be the C major, third finger. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and switch and 2 and 3 and 1 switch 2 3 4 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 1 2 3, 4 is a whole note. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, that's a half note. 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice I'm playing on every downstroke. Those are called quarter notes. When I go down and up, utilizing the thumb, the fingernails on the thumb and the front fingers, it becomes down, up. What's your eighth notes? Down, up, 1 and 2 and 2 and then if I double that, 1 and 2 and go 1E and a 2E and a 1E and a 2E and a up, down, up, down. Those become 16th notes. The slower you start your whole note and keep that hand going, the easier it will be to be able to do 16th notes in the end. I hope this is awesome for you. Lesson 1 and lesson 2, spider exercises, and then the teeter-totter effect, being able to move your different fingers. Today's chord, C major. Pretty simple, only one note to hold down. It was nice meeting you. I will send out an invoice and enjoy this lesson. Aloha.